Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Compass CRM training webinar. I was just hopping off a call, so I am getting organized really quick, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so today we are talking about building out emails and forms and all that good stuff. Last week we talked about, or on Tuesday, we talked about policies and activities and those workflows. So now we're going to talk about building out emails and forms. Um, I'm trying to decide if I want to start with email or form, and I'm going to start with email because I think it's a little bit simpler, and we're all super familiar with email. So what I'm actually going to do is go into my platform and then go into library. And here, this is where you can create any email templates. I would suggest using an email template for something like a monthly newsletter. I don't think those are good examples. So like the monthly newsletter is the perfect example because you're going to be using that again and again, but you're going to have updated information every month. So it's just a nice way to um, have that template there. And then Compass also comes with these pre-built templates for you, and then you can always build out your own as well. I would just suggest going over here and duplicating it first. So if I click those three dots, that's where I have the option to edit, duplicate, or delete. And if I duplicate it, then what I can do is name this um, my Medicare newsletter for my folks in the Medicare space, because I'm going to have their newsletter be a little bit different, be a little bit more curated to them. So then what I can do is go in here, and now I can start building out my email. So first things first, up at the top, you have your subject line, and that's what it's going to be called in your email. So if I'm building out a newsletter, I'm just going to say newsletter, and then every month I'll put in the month before. Like I could do April newsletter or May newsletter, now that it's May. And then down here is where I am going to start building out the email. So our form and email builders are built on this concept of laying down content one at a time. So first you have your section, and then you put down a row. You can have as many rows in one section as you'd like. And then you put your content on top of the row. So you're just stacking everything out as you're building the email. And then, so let's see. So for a section, I want to add a section. So I'm just going to drop. It's just drag and drop. Let's see. Sorry, I don't know why it's giving me a hard time. I'm going to turn on my grid lines down here. I have the option to turn on the grid line so it's easier to see. Okay, so if I were to add a row in between these two, I have this guide that's telling me where I'm putting the row. So I'm going to drop that in there. And then this is where I can choose how many columns I'd like. Um, for example, I want to do 2 columns and maybe put a picture over here and some words over here. So what I'm going to do is I just went back out to the elements. And as you can see, it prompts what needs to be laid down next. So I have a row and it's ready for content. So it wants me to drag and drop my content. So I want to put in a picture over here on the left. So all I have to do is drag over my picture icon. There we go. It wasn't working the first time. And now I can add my picture. And then if I want to make any changes, I can. If I want to add a link to the picture, I can, and just paste the URL there. But I'm okay with that, so I'm just going to leave it and then drag over my text box. And then in here is where you have all of the normal text options that you normally do. So I can bold, italicize, underline, strike through. I can change the size, the font, the spacing. I can bullet point. I can highlight and change the color of everything and even change the spacing. And then a couple key things that I do want to point out is the link text. If you haven't seen that button, I would just make a mental note of that button. And then our merged fields. So these are super exciting and super important. If you remember, we entered in your business variables when we set up your account and everything. Um, these are where those come into play with the merged fields. So if I were to insert merge field, I can have Compass pull in the first name of the client that they're sending the email to so that it personalizes the newsletter email to them. So that's what those merge fields do. And then I can also scroll down and find my business information that I um, have entered into my Compass settings. Let's see. It's in here under business. There we go. And now I can add in all of my personal information right here to this email, which you can see it's already been done down here. Alrighty. And then what I can also do is resize these columns. So if I wanted to make that picture a little bit smaller and just have more text, I can do that as well. All I did was drag the divider in between the two. And then I can also add an additional column by clicking this Add Columns. I can delete or remove a column as well. The system's super forgiving. I love that about Compass. It makes it super nice. So I see I can go ahead and just delete the text box because I decided I want to put, um, a big button or an attachment there. Attachments, they're they function just as normal attachments. I'll show you guys what they look like. They just look like a file attached. It's nothing special, but these buttons are super, super cool. So let's look at this button and see what it can do for us. So what I can do is paste a URL here, and the button will take your client to that URL. So if I wanted it to be a YouTube video or a form, I would just go ahead and paste that link here, and then I can make the button say whatever I want. Click here to watch. I'm going to pretend it's a video. And then I can even go down here and change the colors and everything to make everything match. And again, I would just drop in my URL here, and I can choose for it to open a new tab and all that good stuff. So those are your basic email builder tools. The one that I didn't go over is the divider. This is just a line. Here I'm gonna turn off my grid line so you can really see the divider. It just has that little line there to separate your sections or content within your email. And then I can go ahead and get rid of that if I'd like by clicking delete, confirm delete. Perfect. And then also, so if you notice, I have a yellow background on my section, and then my rows all have a white background, except for this middle row that I added. So if I click on the row, yeah, then it should bring up my element styles. And down here, I have the option to add a background. And now it all looks unified again. And then what I could also do is go to our page settings, and I can change the background to be maybe a gray, and it should update the whole page. Or I can change all of the text to red or yellow, and then I can change how the links look and all that good stuff. Which I'm actually just going to do a white background and call it a day. And then I can also change the font for the entire email from using this button, which I really, really like. Um, okay, I'm going to pause for any questions because I've been throwing a lot at you guys. Can you add one or more than one email to Compass? You can. You can integrate up to 5 emails. And then after that, I think there's a charge, which I should know that. I apologize. So 5 emails, you can integrate those for free and use those to your heart's desire. Great question. And then up here on your email, this is where you choose which inbox it's coming from. Okay, so the last thing that I want to show you guys on this page on the email builder is the view. It's my favorite button on this page because it'll show you how your email is going to look on a computer if they check their email on computer, or how it's going to look on a tablet. It's going to look maybe a little bit different. And then how it's going to look like on a phone. And I still love it. So I can go ahead and save and close. It's going to make me integrate an email, but I don't want to do that right now. And then I have this newsletter, which I didn't create a very good example newsletter. I just threw some stuff together. I apologize. Your guys's are going to look way better. But now I have that Medicare newsletter that I can template, and then every month I can just attach the new information or um, drop in my PDF. So those are the email builder tools. I don't think we have too many questions over those, so I'm just going to move right along. And again, these templates are available at all times that you can use over and over again. If you want to do just a single send, I don't need to save a template for an AEP reminder, then what I'm going to do is go out to my broadcasts and I'm going to schedule a broadcast for maybe well, we're going to go with the AEP reminder example, and I'm going to schedule that around the end of August, send an email, and now I can either choose to create an email from scratch or choose from library. And the library, again, is those templates that we either just created or they're pre-made by Compass. And what I can do is go ahead and select one of these and go ahead and start building out my email. And then once I have that email built out, it's saved as a broadcast, not a template. So I can go back and reference it if I'd like in Compass, but it's not saved as a template because I'm not going to use it over and over again. So um, AEP reminder email. And then over here, I don't know if I pointed this out. This is what it's called in Compass, but I also want it to be called AEP reminder because that makes sense to me. And then any changes I make on this email, it's not going to change the template. It's just going to single send that email with that information. Save and close. I have to integrate my email. Okay, I'm going to save and close that. And then my last step for my broadcast is to pick which group or my audience that I'm going to target with this email blast. So I'm going to choose my Medicare clients because that's who AEP affects. And then I can go ahead and schedule that. And now come August 29th at 1 a.m., I am going to send out an email to my clients reminding them that AEP is coming up. Go ahead and get on my schedule. Let's schedule something. And then I can also go back and edit that if need be. At any time, just go ahead and view, edit email, and make those changes. Okay. So I think everybody's doing pretty good with these tools. So I'm going to go into the forms really quickly. So to get to our forms, we can either go to the home page and click the forms button or do the platform drop down and go to forms. Okay, so a couple forms are pre-built for you. So this monthly newsletter sign up, That's just opting into the monthly newsletter. The website contact form, it's basically an interest form that just funnels contact information to you. A scope of appointment, and a fact finder. And you can make any changes to those and build out your own forms as well, whatever works best for you. Okay, so if we go into a form, it brings you to the settings page. There's a couple things I want to point out on here. So these forms are also, they can function as landing pages. So it's just hosted from a link, and then you can drop that link into your emails or texts or anything to funnel people to this form. So if I click on that, I can copy the link, and now I can drop that in my emails or anything else that I'd like. Say you have a website that you want the form to be on, you can copy this embedded code and put it right on your website. And then down here is your notifications. So there's no workflow set up once a form is complete. So you'll want to go ahead and either have Compass send you an email or a text message when the form is complete, or you're going to build an automation that where the trigger is the fact finder was complete, and then the action would be to have Compass schedule you an activity. So I can help you build those out and all that good stuff if need be, but those are super helpful. Okay, so now I've moved over to the form builder, and as you can see, it looks super similar to the email builder. You have a lot of the same um, button options and tools, but you have a couple new ones. So you have a custom field and a form field in this HTML. So the biggest thing with your forms is knowing the difference between a custom field and a form field. The custom field is something that is coming that's directly related to the contact record. So, for example, if I, Meagan Bareford, were filling this out, I would put in my name, mobile phone, and email. And since those are the custom fields and they're connected to my record, then if I'm a new client, it's going to create a record for me. And if I'm an existing client, then it's going to match my information up with my existing contact record and let you know um, that I have new responses to this form. So those will be pulled in, or so let's go down to financial planning. So these are all the custom fields as well. And these fields also live on your contact records. So once your client fills this out and they choose, here, let's see what the options are. So because it's a custom field, it only has these yes or no options. And to add an additional option, you have to go and actually edit the field in Compass because you're really just having them enter in their own information into their own contact record. Um, but this is a good yes or no. And I'm going to leave it as yes or no. And then say the client fills it out, then that response just lives on their record. So those are super nice to just funnel in the information automatically. And then the form fields are for information that doesn't necessarily have to be funneled into a field in Compass. Um, I'm trying to think of a good example. So maybe a good example of this would be what kind of goals or what kind of situation are you thinking about? Um, and I could do a long text option saved. And now the goals, that's not going to pull into their contact record and have a field on there and live there. It's just going to be on my form and in my responses. So that's the difference between the custom field and the form field. And as you can see, you have the little contact record button, which that's how it helps me distinguish. Okay, so that's the contact one, and then this is just the plain form field. Alrighty. And I don't want to make any changes. I like my scope of appointment, so I'm going to leave that one. and I'm going to hop over into my life insurance education interest form and go back into the builder before I show you this HTML link. So this has become one of my favorite tools because I can put a video right onto the form. They can just play it on the form, and right at the bottom, they can leave me their information, and I have a lead, but it doesn't feel so um permanent, I guess. Like they are just, oh yeah, I just want to learn a little bit more. There's not so much pressure to buy a policy or give me all your financial information and all of that stuff. It's just a plain interest form and just a way to kind of get them thinking about life insurance or annuities or whatever product you are trying to teach them a little bit more about. So to do that, I did that right here. What I'm going to do is pull over a row, and I'm actually going to use the 3 columns with gutters. So those are just little spots on the side um, to make sure that your video is even. It's right in the middle of your form. And then what I'll do is go out to the builder and drag over this HTML link. And this is where I'm going to copy the embedded code. So what I need to do is go over to YouTube and find what video I would like to embed into my CRM. So let's see. Okay. So if you are on YouTube and you go down here to the share button, then you have the option to copy this embedded code. And I'm going to copy that. And now I can jump back over to Compass, and all I have to do is paste it in there. And now the video shows up on my form. And then I can center it just a little bit more. And now I'm going to save and close. And now I'm going to, since I saved and closed out of the builder, I put in that YouTube video. I'm going to preview this form. And I did not line them up quite how I want to. So what I'm going to do is go out of this and go back into my builder. And now I can see this one needed to be over a little bit more. This one needed to be over the other way a little bit more. Save and close. Now I'm going to preview again. And now I have those videos right on here, and I can watch them on my form. And then say they're interested, I'm going to go ahead and fill out my information, submit, and you just got a free lead. So that's one of my favorite ways to use forms now. And what I can do is take this one off, since it's not actually a life insurance video. All right. And then there's a couple different ways you could attach these forms to your emails. So I'm going to go back into my one of my email templates just because we've already built it out. So say I want to attach the form, I can either, and I believe I have the link copied. I just want to make sure I don't. So I just made a key mistake before we hop out of our forms. If I want to attach this interest EDU form with the YouTube videos attached, I need to go and copy the form link. I'm going to copy that. And now I can go into my broadcast, automation, wherever you're building out this email. And we were in our library. I apologize. And now what I'm going to do is either drop in that link as a text, and it just looks like a normal link. Or I can use the buttons that we just learned about and just elevate my email a little bit more. And I'm going to say, um, click here to learn more. Or I could just say learn more. Let's just do learn more. Short and sweet. And now I'm going to paste my form link there. And I do want it to open in a new tab, just in case they want to come back and look at more of the newsletter. And now they have a learn more button on the email that they can click, and it'll take them right into your form. That's going to show them a video that you chose, and they can leave information directly with you to give them a call. Do we have any questions or concerns about that? How do you guys feel about all of these tools? Am I going too fast or slow? And it looks like don't have any questions rolling in. All righty. Um, One thing I do want to point out is since it's a link, you don't have to use it, like you can put it with anything, even if you are using, like if say you put it in your Outlook email signature, you can do that as well with a form. So definitely just use those um, to your advantage as much as possible. Collect your own leads. Um, we have a couple more minutes. So what I'm going to do is show you how you would set up a workflow. So say a form is submitted. I want an activity to be scheduled for me. Of course. So what I would do is new automation. And I'm going to say life edu / interest form submitted. And for the object, I'm going to choose my contacts and save. And now I have to start building out the automation. And again, the trigger is just going to be the form is submitted. And now I'm going to go down here and choose the Life EDU interest form, save. So once that form is submitted, I would like an action to be done. I would like Compass to schedule an activity. What activity does it want? It's a lead to me because if I'm running a life insurance campaign with the life education interest form on there, then I'm assuming they don't have one. So I think it's a lead for life insurance. And then I can choose how I want, like who I want that to go to. But personally, I would choose either myself or I can choose the primary agent. I think that's going to be super common as well. Um, and then I would just scroll down and I typically have it continue and notify on failure because I don't, I just want it to keep trying until it goes through. If it's something that the system can figure out on its own, I'd rather it do that. So I always say, um, if something fails, go ahead and continue trying and just notify me if it keeps failing. And then save and save that. Oh, before I save it, I want to turn the automation on and save. So now whenever somebody submits the life education / interest form, I'm going to have a lead activity with that client scheduled on my dashboard to give them a call and see if I can get them some more information on that. So that's all I have for you guys today. We are right on time. It doesn't look like I have any last minute questions. So definitely, if you need us in the meantime, give us a call, schedule a one-on-one with us, or send us an email. Thanks so much for coming. Next time, we will talk about automations a little bit more and broadcasts a little bit more. So have a good day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.